Hello, today is April 6th, 2026. And today marks 25 years, quarter century since my mother passed away. So, I want to do a little video. Obviously, it's not going to be for the masses, mostly for just the people who knew her, who watch this channel. I just want to do I didn't know how I was going to feel. I still don't know how I'm feeling. Some anniversaries go by fairly ordinarily. Sometimes I'm stuck working. Sometimes I feel down. Sometimes I'm sad, reflective, happy, celebratory of her life. But this is a milestone. This is, self-imposed human milestone. So I took the day off of work. I didn't know how I was going to feel today. But I wanted to do something that was raw and unfiltered and pretty much unedited, except for insert shots of things that I'll talk about. Just to honor her and have the real me in it. And I want to do it first thing in the morning, waking up and having my coffee. She would have loved this mug. This mug is out of rotation. Our rotational mug. She would have loved this because it's made by native peoples in Utah. Those who don't know, my mother was half Cherokee, half Sicilian. I'm 3/4 Cherokee, quarter Sicilian. My father was full-blood Cherokee. Coincidentally enough, my father also passed on April 6th. This is 7 years ago, 2019. We'd be romantic if it was a couple that was still together. But I'm not going to really get into him. I didn't know him, and for good reason. But it's just funny that they passed 18 years or whatever apart. But really, my mother's name was Sharon Lynn DeLappy, then Sharon Lynn Benoit. It's my last name, my father's name, and but she went by Amber. Everyone called her Amber, and she wanted to change her name legally to Nochikluka Agea, which is Cherokee for Pine Tree Woman. Never got around to it. Never had the chance. She suffered a lot in her life, mainly starting with meeting my father, and then just she had a good life. She had a good life at first. She graduated early from school. She skipped 2 grades back when they used to skip kids. And she graduated high school at 16, Christopher Columbus High School in the Bronx, where I went later on. And, she was far from perfect. She married her high school boyfriend to get out of the house because my grandfather was a pain in the butt. Good man. Good man, my grandfather. Just a lot to deal with. Cranky, curmudgeonly. Wonder where I get it from. And she kind of used her boyfriend to get out. And, she was far from perfect. I love my mother completely, but I don't lie or create illusions about her. She had her faults, as we all do. I don't think there's anything wrong with acknowledging that with your loved ones. So anyway, so she graduated early, then eventually cheated on him and divorced him. And then had a really good life in both the east and the west villages of Manhattan. She was a singer. I only got a chance to really hear her voice more on the decline. She was a smoker and whatnot. But she used to sing at all the different jazz spots and clubs and whatnot of the 60s and 70s in the village. And made a little bit of a name for herself in the village, and it never materialized because she made some poor decisions. But she had a lot of talent and an artist. Where singing was her passion. And her friends have regaled me with the tales of seeing her perform. And I wish I had gotten a chance to. But and then she met my father, and kind of all went downhill from there. Had me, and went back to struggling, and then got really sick in the 80s. A few surgeries, hip surgery, back surgery, and then mono. It turned to Epstein-Barr, and then somewhere along the line with blood transfusions between the surgeries and possibly a very ill-fated appointment with a dentist. We had welfare and hip coverage, for those who are old enough to remember what hip was. And that dentist got shut down for violating code. Many of his patients came out with HIV and AIDS, hepatitis, and other things. And he and his assistants, I think got life in prison, and his assistants got like 25 years or something like that. Good, because and it's possible my mother got that, but it's also possible she got hepatitis from my birth. It required 2 C-sections to get me born. This part of me up was born June 28th. The rest of me June. Then they had to push me back in and get me out June 29th. She went through a lot, and thankfully I had blood transfusions before I was born too. Through my head, I came out with nothing, thank God. And I was a week away from seeing that dentist. So it's, who knows, before they got shut down. Anyway, so she had a lot of stuff going on. So she suffered, and it just got worse and worse and worse, liver disease and all these different things, and very likely cancer, lung cancer from all her years of smoking. And she had a very bad last few months on this earth. But it was rough. But so many great people were there for me, from Kika, which was my mother's best friend, whose daughter, Walela, they still call me and her the twins. She passed away when we were 6 of leukemia. But like Kiko was there, and another good friend of hers, Yvonne, Rosie, my godmother who's passed away, Jerry, Elizabeth, those are my mother's friends, Sherry, her girls, Jessica and Edie's, and of course my great friends, Balls, his family, Greg, Guido, Anselin, Barry. Friends I don't really talk to anymore, Joe, Shem. It's amazing how all these friendships and family have lasted this long. I'm very lucky in that way, but I do miss my mom. But instead of it was weird, I remember, because I'm a morbid piece of shit. I calculated the exact day that my mother would have been gone out of my life longer than she was in it while I was still alive. And I think that was January something, I think 2024, I think. I don't know, I have the date somewhere. And that day was rough. And I knew, oh shit, in 25 years hence, that might be really rough. And I don't know if it's gonna be rough. I'm talking about it, I'm sharing it, so it's coming out. But what I wanna do is celebrate. So as I'm packing to move back east, I kept out her stuff for this day. It'll then go into a crate after, to talk about certain things about her. And we'll start with this one. This is my only game ball from Little League. I sucked at Little League and we didn't have money for it, but I got the Poor Kid Scholarship to Astor Little League in the Bronx. And this is from May 31st, 1988. And this is her handwriting. She wrote with her the pens. I've had to go over it a few times so it doesn't completely fade, but it's her handwriting. And it's May 31st, 1988. Ann and Tony's team I was on 5. Lishio's Pharmacy 4. Lishio's. It's dark in here. There's no sun today. Winning run, Shane. This is my ball. And like Captain Sisko, I keep it on my desk. The one run I scored, one hit and one run I scored in 2 seasons of Little League. God, I suck. Got a lot better later on. And apparently those who can't do ump. It's just nice having her handwritten stuff there. And I have some more handwritten stuff of hers. Stuff she kept like here. Stuff of me. All the different year grade things that she kept, and this thing. You have her keeping track. Parents back in the day. I don't know if they still do. I'm sure they still do. Lord knows Christina does it. Balls' wife. She keeps records of everything. She keeps everything. And that's the beautiful thing, because you want to have those things, because they mean a lot. And so she would keep. She would keep my school year in a nutshell. Back when I was a really good student. Oh my God, this is the Castle Hill funeral directors. This is the funeral contract. I guess our death certificate. I didn't realize I pulled it out. There was this book she used to read to me. I'm Glad I'm Your Son by Lois Wise. Oh no, I'm Glad You Are My Son. She wasn't my son. I'm her son. And she used to read this to me. And of course, there's we used to read before. First, she would read to me before I went to sleep. You know, where the wild things are. That's where I learned to read. Eventually, the Narnia books, which we trailed off from. I don't really know why. In my adulthood, I think it's like, oh, it's a little too preachy for me, but I do like the fantasy of them. The Chi-Chi Hoo-Hoo Boogeyman. I don't have the cover anymore, but yeah, she used to scare me. She'd be like, Chi-Chi Hoo-Hoo Boogeyman's gonna come visit you. Go to sleep. Yeah, so we used to read to each other. And then in a similar vein, we would, this is my Etch-a-Sketch. This is from probably the early 80s. Doesn't really work now. Yeah, it don't work now, but we used to leave each other sometimes messages. I think she would write a message on here for me or draw a picture, and I would wake up earlier before her and see it. And then I'd do something for her and leave it, I guess, before I went to bed, or maybe for when she woke up. I don't really remember. I got really good at the Etch-a-Sketch for a while, but that's something we used to leave each other nice messages. Oh, speaking of Little League, this is my Little League card. She grew up in the Bronx, so she wasn't a big baseball fan, but of course she was a Yankee fan at first, but she became a Mets fan because Mets is the team that I chose. You know, it says Keith Hernandez is my favorite player. She became a Mets fan for me. And yeah, and I know like my first game ever was August 29th, 1988. Same year as my game ball. I got free tickets from Marty and Lita Karp, our next door neighbors, because they knew I was a big Mets fan and knew we couldn't afford to go. And he had gotten tickets, I don't know how, maybe just specifically for us. But he probably made it seem like, oh, I'm not using them. You can use them. To not make anyone feel bad. And me, my mom, Balls, and his father went. His father drove. Upper deck at Shea. 6-0. David Cohn, one hitter. Keith Hernandez said, oh, bro, I'm there with my mom. Me and Balls were trying to see who could clap quickest. Because even though he says Yankees fan, Balls is really a Mets fan. We all know that. We've all seen him on these videos. Go Mets! Let's go Mets! Yeah! And trying to get to those little seats. I forget who it was. I think it was Balls' dad spilled the RC soda, RC on our hot dogs. So we had RC hot dogs, and we still talk about having RC hot dogs. They still make RC. We got to dip some hot dogs in that shit. Anyway, I digress. Is this still recording? If it is not recording, I'm be pissed. No, it's still recording. Okay, good. So these guys, who are these guys? Well, I don't know the name of this thing. I can't remember. Is it Light Bright? Rainbow Bright? I don't know. But this was Layla's, my sister's. And when she passed away, everyone got at a ceremony later one piece of her belongings, and mine is it's already wrapped up and put away, but it's a water basketball game thing, and this was given to my mom. So this is my mom's lasting, tangible bond with my sister. Again, my mother's best friend's daughter. This is Keith, who is a puppet. Keith Kangaroo has a pouch. Didn't know when I was a kid that only women. Yes, girly. Kangaroos have pouches. But anyway, named Keith because Channel 5, 9, or 11, you know, before there was Fox 5 and everything, New York used to play The Partridge Family every day, and I was obsessed with Keith. I wanted to be David Cassidy, and so I named my stuffed animal Keith. And he's actually a Muppet. A singular bank promotion that the Muppets did with some bank. I only found out because the original Keith was lost, thrown out accidentally. And so years later, I went on eBay, and I was able to find it, the exact same make. And there's so few of them in the world because they were a special promotion that the Muppets did one time with a local bank somewhere. And so I did a Vulcan Mind Meld, transferred the memories into Keith. And this is Yona, who as you can see, is fucked up. This bear, Yona is Cherokee for bear, is the embodiment of the bond between my mother and I. In fact, when she was so sick when I was younger, we used to ask, you know, who will Yona stay with when you pass? Because yes, we talked about death that early because it was a very real possibility. No, we didn't really. There were a few things my mother wasn't completely honest about. Some of them because she was waiting for the right time. She was right about some of them, wrong about others, as we all are. We do our best. But we spoke very open. I mean, shit, she was at Woodstock. My mother, anyone who's wondering, why are you so like, open about it, open about everything. You know, my mother was like, I fucked 3, maybe 4 guys in the mud at Woodstock, maybe more. I was too high to remember. You know, that was my mother. You know, my mother used to tell my girlfriends in high school, you know, if he gets out of line, you know, don't ever let him don't, you know, his great grandmother shot his great grandfather because he got out of line. You know, Kentucky. You know. So she was very like open about things, and so we spoke openly about the fact that there's a very real possibility that she was going to pass away early. And so it was like, will Yona go in the coffin with her or stay with me? Yona obviously stayed with me, but he's very likely older than what my mother would have been. I mean, this bear's, I mean, it was 2nd, 3rd, 4th hand when we got him. And so he's torn the hell apart. I know there are places that like fix stuffed animals. I cannot bear the thought of shipping him off and then him getting lost. But I would like to be able to fix him, but like his skin, it's so thin, I don't know if it's even possible. But anybody know anybody who restores stuffed animals, let me know. I would love to try. I don't know if it's possible, but he is... He will go in my coffin when I die, because there's no grandkids, and there's not gonna be. So, yeah. So, you know, huge bond. This is me and her. This was at Macy's in Parkchester. She saved up for months to be able to get some real portraits of us made, or photographs made. This is her rattle for her regalia. Has the eagle on it. Buffalo, pine trees. I'm so glad I still have this. This is, I almost don't have it. Shit. This is World's Greatest Mom. I got this, I think, in the 90s, like 91, 92 for her. Obviously with her money. You know, your parents give you a couple dollars so you can buy them a gift for Mother's Day or their birthday or some shit. This is what I got her. This is also us at a powwow, probably on Long Island, at Shinnecock probably. Her old regalia before she got new regalia. Right? I don't know which picture came first. I don't know. Ain't I cool with those glasses? And it's with the baseball card, obviously, that I already showed. And then this, when I finally got to swim with dolphins, life dream of hers was to swim with dolphins. And I finally got a chance to do that for us in 2014 in Cozumel. Yeah, she would love to. I don't have many pictures of her because what pictures I did have, I taped to cardboard, put saran wrap over them to put them up at the wake, which only lasted 3 hours. That's all we could afford. And I still had to borrow money for it. It was $3,110. Anyway, and someone took them to scan them, like a friend of hers, and I never got them back. Not out of malice, just life. This was my drum as a kid. She didn't make it, but I used to love to drum. I have a teepee toy too, but I packed it away and I don't know which bin it's in. Seashell, just we used to listen to the ocean. Back when I still believed that it was the ocean you could hear. She encouraged my vivid imagination, and even when it was wrong. This was actually not of my mom. This is of Roz Dotson, who became like a surrogate mother of mine in my adulthood right after my mother passed. And I know they had crossed paths briefly in the Native community in New York, but yeah, this is from her memorial service. But I keep them together because, you know, family. This was my grandmother's. I'm not gonna pick that up. Candy. You used to put candy in it when in the 60s and the 50s, and it's kind of the only thing I have of my grandmother's. 'Cause I never met her. She died 11 years before I was born. Well, 10 and a half. Yeah. And I just can't get rid of it. This is my mother's painting of a dude who was her best friend's father. He passed away in 2000. 2000? I want to say 2000. So is my sister's grandfather. You know, she was an amateur painter. It does look like him. I'll put him side by side. But, you know, still, she was working on her craft. She was more the singer. Yeah, Amber, 91, she made this with the pine tree signature. So she was very much an aspiring painter. But what she was really good at was beadwork, Native American beadwork. I'm so glad I still have a good portion. What the hell is in here of her stuff? I got some stuff in here that isn't her beadwork, but there's a native spoon she had. I don't use it, I just put it on display. But this is her beadwork. She used to, this is how I had Christmas gifts, because she would spend all night beading to sell to people. So she could make extra money to get me Christmas presents. She was really good. She was really good. On leatherback. I remember going to places in the Bronx and in Manhattan to near the Empire State Building to get beads. I mean, this is some intricate work. And she fucked up her eyes and her hands doing this. She loved it, but she also knew she needed to do it. It's hot in here, I gotta turn the AC. To be able to afford to get me things as a kid. And I don't know where it is. I'm trying to find it, but she always used to say in her beadwork, and it's not just her. I mean, I know it's a very native thing. No one makes anything perfect except the creator. So there's always one misplaced bead. And usually I believe it was a red bead out of place. I have to find it. Or maybe I don't. Maybe I just know it's like that. So that was one choker she made, accompanying earrings. And she used to have the loom. I should have saved her loom. She made these. Very translucent, home with the light. Very nice, fairly crystally. I believe she made this. I could be mistaken. I mean, she didn't carve this out, but I believe she made this. And this was a necklace that I wore with my regalia at powwows. And of course this bone choker. And she used to get feathers from the Bronx Zoo. She had a contact at the Bronx Zoo. We would go there and we would just go inside like the birdhouse. We could get all different kinds of shedded off feathers. I remember there'd be piles of rats that they would be feeding the birds. And maybe that's why I don't mind rats and mice too much. And she would incorporate them into, this isn't feather, but she did have some, maybe I don't have those anymore, but this is bone choker she made. Obviously for a much thinner neck than mine now. But yeah, and she was quite the artist. Of course, this was her guitar she got off the street in a not yard sale, but a street festival sale. It's dusty. Gibson, this thing's probably from the 50s. And she taught herself some strings in the guitar, and this is how I first started to learn how to play guitar. Never got any good. Movers fucked it up when I moved to Vegas. Bastards. But this was, sounds great. Her guitar. And of course, the thumbnail of this video. I don't know how we paid for this. It's very possible we didn't. I know it was me, my mom, Kika, and my sister. We all went to get portraits done somewhere, I think in Jersey. And I just remember after it was done, my sister and I, it was the autumn and we were rolling around in a pile of leaves. I gotta give Kika a call today. Yeah, so, you know, my best memory of my mom was, I want to say 83. 4th of July, we used to live on 1971 Chatterton Avenue in the Bronx, and they would set off, you know, back in the day in the Bronx, all summer was fireworks night. So the 4th of July was especially fucking fireworks night. And we were just sitting, I think the window was fairly low, and sitting on our knees, and we were just leaning on, you know, just leaning on the windowsill, watching the fireworks, and we were just talking. I don't know about what. I know, Stevie Wonder's I Just Called to Say I Love You was on the radio. And it was just a perfect moment in time. Hi, girlie. She would have loved you. No, these are not your toys. These are not your toys. Your grandmother's laughing from the great beyond. Let me put these back. So yeah, my mother loved cats. She had so many cats. So many cats. So many cats. In fact, Jubilee, my first cat, was her last cat because Jubilee came to live with us after I visited my grandfather's grave for the first time in years. Not because I didn't want to, but just because it was on the other side of the Bronx and it was hard to get there. And Guido, Curtis, and I went and visited it. And then I come home and Jubilee had followed my ex in. And she became my cat very quickly. And my mother was on the fence about keeping her, but she did keep her because she was just worried that, we couldn't afford her. But my mother left the apartment for the last time when Jubilee came in November, and I said that's the last gift my grandfather ever gave me. And my mother, because he knew how much she loved cats. And so for the last 2.5 months of her life in the apartment, because she left the apartment to the hospital January 27th and never came back, of 2001, she got to be with a cat one last time. And I know how much that meant. My mother was given 72 to 92 hours to live when she was in the ICU. And she came back just to make sure I was okay. And when she knew that I was okay, she was able to go. We got to be there and I got to hold her hand. I guess if you take away anything from this video, it's to just tell people you love them. And I did. I don't live with the regret of not. We used to fight like cats and dogs. Holy shit, we would fight. She didn't know how to handle her illness the way. Who does? I didn't know. I was an angsty kid who was not able to eat because we didn't have money. We had to borrow money. Life was fucked. And neither one of us dealt with it the right way. But we always knew we had each other's back. It was never any question. But still, just tell the people you love them. And if you got parents or grandparents or the older generation, even though it's hard sometimes to listen to the same stories drag out for 3 hours, listen to them. If there's anything from your childhood that you're not sure about, that only the older generation knows, get the full clarity story. Because once they're gone, that part of you is gone. There's so many stories that are incomplete. And some people have been able to fill in the blanks for me. Kika, Jerry. But there's so much that I don't have. Names, dates. Some friends of hers that, like Rochelle, who have found me online. Just ask. Get clarity. You might have an incomplete picture. And you think you got the time to find out. And if you don't get around to it purposefully, you're never going to know. And that piece of you is going to be lost. Yeah. 25 years. My mother was a woman of humor, straightforwardness, compassion, love, forgiveness, even when she shouldn't have forgiven people, support, artistry, foul mouth, open about everything, and made sure I got the best education possible, not necessarily in the classroom, but in life. I had to watch the news every night with her, and I fucking hated it. Now I'm glad. Back when you could actually watch the news and be like, oh, that's semi-accurate. Made me read Shakespeare. Got me hooked on the Beatles. Billie Holiday, Miles Davis, Richie Havens, she's a friend of hers. Listening to Joseph Campbell's endless, it seemed like, conversations with Bill Moyers on Channel 13, PBS. I learned things that I didn't. I was so bored out of my fucking mind when there was nothing to do but watch TV on a Saturday, and you had like, what, 7 channels or whatever. And I'm so glad that that foundation is within me now. And she did that. And that's probably the thing I'm the most grateful for, other than obviously being alive. She plowed through life when it was beating the living fuck out of her. And she stuck around just long enough to know that I'd be okay. So thank you, Mom. I don't often feel her presence. I don't often dream of her. Every once in a while. So I don't know what's out there. She believed firmly in Native beliefs and Cherokee beliefs. But whatever comes after, if anything, I know she's here with me here, and she's with all the people that she touched. Kika, Ding, I forgot to mention Ding. Jerry, Yvonne, those are the surviving friends of hers. Family. And they are my, I'm lucky enough, as she was close to my friends. She was really close when she passed. Greg gave himself a dream catcher tattoo. She was close with balls with his family, with Greg and Guido and Barry. What multi-generational family. Anyway. Yes, Curly. And you're part of it too, even though you hate me. Anyway, that's my mom. No Chikluka Gaya, or as everyone called her, Amber. I just call her Mom. And I love her, and I miss her. Yes, I know. All right. Thank you for watching. Give your loved ones a shout. Give them love. Give them some love. Give them some hugs. Give them some kisses. Give them a call. That's it. I gotta get up in front of the camera. Please don't swat at me. See?